Hello and welcome to Science for Bedtime. If your day has been long, if your thoughts feel busy, or if sleep has been difficult to reach, you're very welcome here. This channel is a quiet place created for calm listening, gentle curiosity, and peaceful nights. If you enjoy relaxing science stories like this, designed to help you unwind and drift into sleep, you're invited to subscribe to the channel. It's a simple way to support what we do here, and it helps more people discover these moments of calm. And now you can simply listen. There's nothing you need to focus on, nothing you need to remember. You can let the words flow softly in the background as your body begins to slow down. Tonight we'll drift through the story of human evolution, not as a lesson and not as a list of dates and definitions, but as a gentle, continuous story through deep time. A story written in fossils and footprints, in bones and stone, in small changes that accumulated over millions of years until a curious, upright primate began to wonder about the world around it. So settle in. Let your shoulders relax. Let your breathing soften. And as your thoughts gradually quiet, imagine the Earth long before humans existed. There were no cities, no lights glowing at night, no roads, no languages, no written history. Only landscapes shaped by wind and water and living creatures adapting slowly to their surroundings. If we travel far back to around 66 million years ago, the world looks very different from the one you know. Dinosaurs still dominate the land, the oceans are home to vast marine reptiles, and the skies are crossed by large flying animals, their wings casting long shadows over the ground below. Mammals exist too, but they are small and cautious, mostly nocturnal. They move quietly through undergrowth, hiding from larger predators. Their lives are brief, their hearts beat quickly, and survival depends on staying unnoticed. Then, in a moment that is sudden by geological standards, everything changes. A massive asteroid strikes the Earth near what is now the Yucatan Peninsula. The impact triggers fires, earthquakes, and waves of destruction that ripple across the planet. Dust fills the atmosphere. Sunlight fades, food chains collapse. When the planet finally begins to recover, nearly 3/4 of all species are gone. The age of dinosaurs has ended, but in the silence left behind, new opportunities emerge. Mammals, once confined to the margins, begin to diversify. Some grow larger, some become faster, some adapt to climbing, digging, or swimming. Life experiments again, filling ecological spaces that were once closed. As forests spread across parts of the planet, a small group of mammals find success in the trees. These are the early primate-like animals, ancestors to monkeys, apes, and eventually humans. One of the earliest known primate relatives is a creature called Plesiadapis. It lived more than 50 million years ago and had flexible limbs and grasping hands, well suited for climbing. It was not human and not even an ape, but it carried the beginnings of a new way of interacting with the world. Life in the trees rewards certain traits. Forward-facing eyes make it easier to judge distance. Grasping hands allow precise movement from branch to branch. Balance and coordination become more important than brute strength. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, brains begin to change. Vision becomes more dominant than smell. Neural pathways grow more complex. Memory improves. Social awareness deepens. These early primates begin to live in groups, navigating not just physical space, but social relationships. Who belongs here? Who can be trusted? Who remembers where food appears first? Evolution begins to favor intelligence, not as abstract thought, but as practical awareness of both environment and companions. As millions of years pass, primates diversify into many forms. Some remain small and nocturnal, others become larger and more social. Among them are early apes, creatures without tails, with flexible shoulders and strong arms adapted for swinging beneath branches. Species like Proconsul and Dryopithecus appear in the fossil record, living in warm forests that once stretched across Africa, Europe, and Asia. These apes are closer to us than monkeys are, and their bodies hint at movements and behaviors that feel familiar. But the world does not stay warm forever. Climate shifts again. Forests begin to shrink in some regions, replaced by patchy woodlands and open grasslands. Food becomes more spread out. Trees are no longer always close together. For apes adapted to life in the canopy, this presents a challenge. Some remain in the trees where they can. Others begin spending more time on the ground, moving between food sources across open terrain. They still climb when needed, but walking becomes more frequent. And in parts of Africa, a remarkable experiment begins. Some primates start walking upright, at first, only occasionally. For short distances, perhaps to carry food, perhaps to see over tall grass, perhaps to move more efficiently under the sun. Over time, this posture becomes more consistent. The fossil record reveals early hominins, primates that are no longer quite apes, but not yet human. One of the earliest known is Sahelanthropus tchadensis, dated to about 7 million years ago. Its skull shows a small brain, but the opening where the spine connects suggests an upright posture. Another early species, Orrorin tugenensis, lived around 6 million years ago, and its thigh bone hints at walking on 2 legs. These fossils are fragmentary, but together they tell a quiet story of transition. Then around 4.5 million years ago, a species known as Ardipithecus ramidus appears. Often called Ardi, this hominin had a body adapted both for walking and for climbing. Its pelvis shows early bipedal traits, while its foot still has a grasping big toe. Ardi did not walk like we do, but she walked enough to change the direction of evolution. Bipedalism reshapes the body. The spine curves, the pelvis broadens, the legs align beneath the torso, feet develop arches, and the big toe gradually moves into line with the others. Walking upright is not perfect. It brings new challenges, including strain on joints and complications in childbirth, but it also frees the hands, and free hands change everything. Hands can carry food and infants. Hands can gather and manipulate objects. Hands can shape the world. As bipedal hominins continue to evolve, one group becomes especially well known, a species called Australopithecus afarensis, which lived around 3 million years ago in East Africa. One individual from this species, discovered in Ethiopia, became famous under the nickname Lucy. She was small, just over 1 meter tall, with a small brain and long arms. Her pelvis and knees show clear adaptations for upright walking, while her shoulders and fingers suggest she still climbed trees. Lucy represents a theme that runs through all of human evolution. Change is gradual. Traits overlap. Our ancestors were not suddenly human, they were combinations of old and new. Around the same time, in what is now Tanzania, a group of hominins walked across soft volcanic ash. Their footprints were preserved and later fossilized. These footprints show a clear bipedal gait with an arch and a forward-facing big toe. For a brief moment, behavior itself was captured in stone. As Australopithecus species spread across varied environments, they survive by being flexible. They eat fruits, leaves, seeds, and occasionally insects or small animals. Their teeth have thick enamel adapted for tough foods. They are not yet making tools in a consistent way. They are not controlling fire, but they are laying the groundwork. Then, around 2.8 million years ago, another subtle shift appears. Fossils begin to show a slightly larger brain, teeth that look more human, hands capable of finer precision. And alongside these remains, archaeologists find stone tools. This marks the emergence of the genus Homo. One of the earliest known members is Homo habilis, whose name means handyman. Compared to Australopithecus, Homo habilis has a larger brain and hands better suited for shaping stone. The tools they made were simple, sharp flakes struck from rock. But making them required planning and intention. It required seeing a stone not just as an object, but as a possibility. With tools, early humans gained access to new food sources. They could cut meat, scrape hides, and crack bones for marrow. Diet became richer and more energy-dense, and with more energy available, the brain continued its slow expansion. By around 2 million years ago, another species emerges, one with a taller body, longer legs, and a brain approaching modern proportions. This species is known as Homo erectus. Homo erectus is a traveler. Fossils of this species have been found across Africa, the Middle East, and Asia. These early humans were the first to leave Africa in significant numbers, adapting to new climates and landscapes as they went. Their bodies were built for endurance, walking long distances, possibly running, following herds, exploring new territory. Their tools became more standardized, shaped with care and symmetry. And at some point during their long existence, they learned to control fire. Fire brought warmth, protection, and light. It allowed food to be cooked, making nutrients easier to absorb. It created social centers, places to gather and rest. Around firelight, social bonds deepened. Learning accelerated, communication became richer. And slowly, quietly, culture began to take hold. As you rest now listening to this long, unfolding story, remember that none of this happened quickly. There was no single moment when humans suddenly appeared. There were only countless small changes layered gently over time, guided by environment, cooperation, and curiosity. And that story continues within you. Over vast stretches of time, those early humans continued to change, shaped by landscapes that were never still. Ice ages came and went. Forests expanded and retreated. Rivers shifted their courses. And with every environmental change, the human lineage adapted, not through sudden leaps, but through patience and persistence. As populations of Homo erectus spread across continents, they did not remain identical. Groups became separated by distance and geography, and over hundreds of thousands of years, subtle differences accumulated. Bodies adjusted to climate, faces changed shape. Brains continued their slow, steady growth. In Africa and parts of Eurasia, these evolving populations gave rise to a form often known as Homo heidelbergensis. Living around 700,000 to 300,000 years ago, these humans had large bodies, strong limbs, and brains approaching the size of our own. Their skulls show a blend of archaic and modern features, a reminder that evolution does not draw sharp lines. Homo heidelbergensis hunted large animals, likely working together to bring down prey much bigger than any single individual could manage alone. Carefully crafted wooden spears found in places like Schöningen in Germany suggest planning, cooperation, and shared intent. These were not isolated individuals struggling alone. They were social beings relying on one another for survival. Fire was a constant companion now. Shelters were built, camps were reused, knowledge passed from one generation to the next, not just through instinct, but through learning and memory. From these populations, the human story branched again. In Europe and Western Asia, one lineage gradually adapted to colder climates, giving rise to Homo neanderthalensis, the Neanderthals. Stocky and powerfully built, with broad chests and large noses that warmed cold air, Neanderthals were perfectly adapted to Ice Age environments. For a long time, they were misunderstood. Once imagined as primitive or simple, they are now recognized as intelligent and deeply human. Neanderthals made sophisticated stone tools. They controlled fire. They hunted large game. They cared for injured group members, sometimes for many years. They buried their dead, and in some cases used pigments and ornaments, suggesting symbolic thought. At the same time, in Africa, another lineage was taking shape. These humans were more lightly built, with flatter faces and high, rounded brain cases. They are known as Homo sapiens. The earliest fossils clearly attributed to Homo sapiens date back to around 300,000 years ago, discovered at a site called Jebel Irhoud in Morocco. These early individuals already had brains within the modern human range, though their skulls retained some archaic features. Rather than emerging from a single small population, Homo sapiens likely arose through a network of interconnected groups spread across Africa. This Pan-African origin meant that traits evolved gradually, shared and reshaped through movement and exchange. For tens of thousands of years, modern humans lived entirely within Africa. They adapted to deserts, forests, coasts, and highlands. They hunted, gathered, and cooperated. Their tools improved, their social lives deepened, their minds grew increasingly capable of abstraction. Then, beginning around 70,000 years ago, some groups of Homo sapiens began to move beyond Africa. They followed coastlines and river valleys into the Middle East. From there, they spread into Europe, Asia, and eventually across the globe. This movement was not a single wave, but many journeys over thousands of years. As modern humans entered new regions, they encountered other human groups who had lived there for hundreds of thousands of years. In Europe and Western Asia, they met Neanderthals. In parts of Asia, they encountered another mysterious group known as the Denisovans, identified primarily through DNA preserved in a few bones found in Siberia. These meetings were not always hostile. Genetic evidence shows that Homo sapiens and Neanderthals interbred. Today, most people of non-African ancestry carry small percentages of Neanderthal DNA. In some populations in Asia and Oceania, Denisovan DNA also persists, quietly woven into modern genomes. The human story is not one of replacement alone, but of mixing, interaction, and shared survival. As Homo sapiens continued to spread, something remarkable began to appear more frequently in the archaeological record. Objects that were not strictly necessary for survival but rich in meaning, beads made from shells, patterns carved into ochre, pigments carefully prepared and stored. These objects suggest symbolism, identity, and communication beyond the immediate moment. Cave walls began to fill with images, animals painted in motion, hands pressed against stone and outlined in pigment, scenes that may have carried stories, memories, or beliefs. From caves in France and Spain, such as Chauvet and Lascaux, to sites in Indonesia and Australia, art appears across vast distances, different styles, different animals, the same impulse to express something invisible. This growing symbolic world transformed how humans related to one another. Knowledge was no longer just shown or spoken. It could be encoded in objects, in images, in rituals. Culture became cumulative, allowing ideas to build across generations. Language likely grew more complex during this time, though it left no direct fossil trace. With language came storytelling, planning, and shared imagination. Humans could now cooperate at scales far larger than family or immediate group, united by shared myths and identities. These abilities allowed Homo sapiens to enter environments that had once been impossible to inhabit. In cold northern regions, humans crafted tailored clothing using bone needles. In arid deserts, they learned to find and store water. Along coasts, they developed fishing tools and boats. Around 45,000 years ago, humans reached Australia, likely by crossing open water using simple vessels. This required planning, cooperation, and trust in collective knowledge. It required imagining land beyond the visible horizon. Later, during the last ice age, humans crossed into the Americas from Siberia using land bridges and coastal routes. Within a relatively short time, they spread across 2 continents, adapting to tundra, forests, mountains, and tropical environments. Everywhere they went, humans changed not just biologically, but culturally. Tools evolved, languages diversified, belief systems emerged, social structures adapted to local conditions. Despite this diversity, all humans remained one species, capable of learning from one another, capable of empathy, capable of imagining futures that did not yet exist. For most of this long journey, humans lived as hunter-gatherers, small, mobile groups that followed the rhythms of nature. They carried what they needed, they shared food, they relied on deep ecological knowledge passed down through generations. This way of life endured for hundreds of thousands of years. It shaped our bodies and our minds. It favored cooperation over dominance, flexibility over rigidity. Then, slowly and unevenly, another transformation began. In certain regions, people started to settle more permanently. They returned to the same fertile areas year after year. Over time, they began to plant seeds intentionally and manage landscapes. Agriculture emerged independently in several parts of the world. In the Fertile Crescent, people domesticated wheat and barley. In China, rice and millet. In Mesoamerica, maize and squash. In the Andes, potatoes and quinoa. In Africa, sorghum and yams. Farming brought food, surpluses. Surpluses supported larger populations. Villages grew into towns. Towns grew into cities. With permanent settlements came new social dynamics. Labor became specialized. Some people farmed, others crafted tools, textiles, or pottery. Leadership structures emerged. Ownership, inheritance, and social hierarchies developed. Writing was invented as a way to record harvests, trade, and obligations. Over time, it became a tool for law, literature, and memory. Knowledge could now be stored outside the human mind. Civilizations arose along rivers, supported by irrigation and trade. They built monuments, developed calendars, and observed the stars. They created myths to explain their origins and laws to govern their societies. And yet, even as civilizations grew, human biology changed very little. Our bodies remained those of animals shaped by deep time. We still needed sleep, warmth, connection, and meaning. In evolutionary terms, cities, writing, and agriculture occupy only a tiny fraction of our history. If the entire story of humanity were compressed into a single day, everything from farming onward would occur in the final seconds before midnight. In those final seconds, change accelerated dramatically. Technology reshaped daily life. Medicine altered survival. Travel collapsed distances. Information multiplied faster than any generation could fully absorb. Humans built machines that extended their strength, their senses, and their memory. They explored the planet and even stepped beyond it, gazing back at Earth from space. And still beneath all of this, the ancient human remains. The nervous system that responds to stress evolved in a world of predators, not deadlines. The craving for rich foods evolved in times of scarcity, not abundance. The need for social connection evolved in small groups, not anonymous crowds. This mismatch between ancient biology and modern environments is part of what defines human life today. Yet it is also a testament to our adaptability. Because evolution did not end when culture began, it changed form. Ideas now evolve faster than genes. Technologies reshape environments in a single generation. The future of humanity depends not only on biology but on choices, cooperation, and wisdom. As you rest here now, listening to this long, gentle story, you are part of that unfolding process. Your body carries the echoes of forests and savannas. Your breath follows rhythms shaped long before cities existed. Your mind holds capacities forged through cooperation, curiosity, and care. You are not separate from this story. You are its continuation. And as your breathing slows and your thoughts grow quieter, you can let that idea settle softly. A sense of belonging to something vast and ongoing. A reminder that even in stillness, evolution continues, quietly, patiently, within and around us. And so the story continues, carried forward by the same quiet forces that shaped it from the beginning. Time moves on, not in straight lines, but in gentle currents, sometimes slow and almost imperceptible, sometimes faster than anyone expects. As human societies grew more complex, the balance between biology and culture shifted even further. Our bodies remained largely the same, but the worlds we built around ourselves changed rapidly. Villages became towns, towns became cities, and cities grew into networks, connected by roads, rivers, and later, by ideas that could travel faster than any human ever could. In these growing societies, humans began to observe patterns more carefully. The movement of stars across the night sky, the rhythm of seasons, the predictable return of floods and droughts. From these observations came calendars, mathematics, and early forms of astronomy. Understanding the world became a way of finding stability within it. Over time, this curiosity deepened. People began to ask not only how things worked, but why. Philosophers, scholars, and natural observers appeared in many cultures, often independently of one another. In ancient Greece, thinkers like Aristotle sought natural explanations for the world. In India, scholars explored logic, consciousness, and the nature of reality. In China, traditions such as Confucianism and Taoism reflected on harmony, ethics, and the balance between humans and nature. These were not isolated achievements. They were expressions of the same ancient human trait, the desire to understand and to connect meaning to experience. As centuries passed, tools became more refined. Metal replaced stone. Writing systems evolved. Knowledge accumulated across generations. Trade networks expanded, linking distant cultures. Ideas moved along these routes, shaping societies far from where they originated. Human populations grew larger, and with them came new challenges. Disease spread more easily in crowded cities. Inequality emerged as resources were distributed unevenly. Conflict became organized, sometimes devastating. These developments were not signs of a new nature, but consequences of scale. Small group instincts stretched to fit large societies. Still, even within empires and institutions, humans continued to tell stories, make music, create art, and search for meaning. Temples, cathedrals, mosques, and monuments rose across continents, built not only from stone, but from shared belief. The scientific way of thinking, which would later transform the world, did not appear suddenly. It grew slowly from observation, record-keeping, and the willingness to test ideas against reality. Over time, this approach led to profound discoveries about the universe, the Earth, and life itself. Humans learned that the planet is far older than written history, that species change over time, that the same physical laws apply everywhere, from falling apples to distant stars. In the last few centuries, this accumulation of knowledge accelerated dramatically. The Industrial Revolution reshaped daily life. Machines multiplied human labor. Cities expanded at unprecedented rates. Energy stored in fossil fuels powered transportation, industry, and communication. Medicine transformed survival. Diseases that once defined human existence became treatable or preventable. Life expectancy increased. Childhood survival improved. Natural selection, once a powerful force shaping who lived and who did not, began to operate differently in a world influenced by technology and care. At the same time, humans altered the planet itself. Forests were cleared, rivers were redirected, atmospheres changed. For the first time, a single species began to influence Earth on a global scale. This is a moment unlike any other in evolutionary history. Yet beneath the complexity of modern life, the ancient human remains. The same nervous system that once scanned savannas now scans screens. The same brain that learned to track seasons now tracks time by clocks and calendars. The same social instincts that evolved in small bands now operate within vast, interconnected societies. This mismatch can be challenging. It can create stress, anxiety, and a sense of disconnection, but it can also inspire reflection, because understanding where we come from offers perspective. When you feel overwhelmed, it can help to remember that your mind was shaped not for constant stimulation, but for moments of focus followed by rest. that your body still responds deeply to quiet, to warmth, to steady breathing, to the feeling of safety. In moments like this, lying still, listening softly, you are closer to the rhythm that shaped your ancestors than you might think. Long before cities, before writing, before even spoken language as we know it, humans rested beneath open skies. They listened to wind moving through grass, to fire crackling gently, to the breathing of others nearby. Sleep was a shared vulnerability, protected by community. That need for rest has never left us. Even as humans reached beyond Earth itself, sending machines and people into space, that ancient need remains. Astronauts orbiting the planet still sleep, still dream, still carry with them the same biological rhythms forged millions of years ago. From a distance, Earth appears as a small, blue world, fragile and luminous. On it lives a species that began as small, nocturnal mammals, hiding in the shadows. A species that learned to climb, to walk, to shape stone, to tend fire, to tell stories, to ask questions. A species that now studies its own origins. And perhaps that is one of the most remarkable outcomes of evolution, not just intelligence but self-awareness, the ability to look back across deep time and recognize ourselves as part of a much larger story. Evolution did not create perfection, it created resilience, it created flexibility. It created the capacity to learn, to cooperate, and to imagine alternatives. Those traits carried our ancestors through changing climates, migrations, and uncertainty. They carried humans across continents and oceans, and they continue to carry us forward now into an unknown future. As you lie here, listening, breathing quietly, you are not at the end of that story, you are within it. Your cells carry ancient chemistry forged in stars long before Earth existed. Your bones echo the shapes of ancestors who walked upright for the first time. Your thoughts arise from a brain built through countless generations of social living and shared learning. Nothing about you is accidental, and nothing about you is separate from the natural world. Even in a modern room surrounded by technology, you remain part of an evolutionary process, billions of years in the making, a process that continues slowly and subtly through culture, choice, and connection. So as your body grows heavier and you're breathing deeper, you can allow that awareness to bring calm rather than weight, a sense of belonging rather than pressure. You are allowed to rest. The long journey that brought humans from the trees to the stars does not require your attention tonight. It has carried itself forward through patience and time, and it will continue to do so. For now, you can let go, let your muscles soften, let your thoughts drift, let sleep come gently, as it has for countless generations before you. And as you rest, know that you are part of something vast, unfolding, and deeply alive.